Well, hi, and welcome to Saturday. How are you doing? I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. I started listening to a podcast or an audio recording by Brach on anger and the U-turn. My therapist suggested it yesterday, so I listened to it twice yesterday afternoon. I'm listening to it a third time right now, just because my retention isn't as good on audio recordings as reading things. It's dense and it's really good. If this is the kind of thing I do when I publish these, I'll put a link to it below, or I don't know, maybe put it here. I don't know. I'm literally doing what I see other YouTubers do. Like, I'll link it here, or here, or up here. I don't know. It just talks about our human responses to anger and what anger does and how it can be good or how it can be bad. One of the things she says that I really liked is that it gives us juice. Like, it gives us the juice or the energy to change things, and I thought that was really compelling. On the first part of my breakup, where I was just devastated, I was just broken, just trying to live, trying to survive. As it got uglier and as it got worse, I don't know if I believe that. Hold on. I was gonna say, as I got angrier, I was more motivated to do things. I ran more and stuff. But that's not true for me. So this is not actually me relaying wisdom so much as thinking out loud. I started going to back to bar method and running more to fill time because I was awake and didn't know how to fill time. I mean, the truth of me thus far is I'm not an angry person. So this talks about what people do with their anger and how they lash out and how they can kind of get addicted to the rush of anger and the rush of lashing out. And I don't do that. I get sad and I can also just kind of harden myself off to certain things to some level, not completely. I'm all over the place on this right now. I'm thinking about the actual anger I've felt in this breakup, and the most angry I've been was the day I found out she booked the trip to French Polynesia for the holidays. And trying to put my finger on the why of it, and I think we've talked about this probably several times, and I apologize, but I think the why of it was because it was more than just about pain to me. There's the immediate pain of me loving spending the holidays with her family. I do. I love the holidays with both sides of her family. So the fact that there's a huge feeling of loss that's come from that from early on. Probably the night things went wrong with us, I thought, oh God, I'm losing her family. It's been a big thing. So these people that I love and I value, and the holidays that I think are so wonderful, she disregarded something that was, or is still, very important to me, very significant to me. She disrespected all parties involved, like her family inclusive, because she didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew. She's basically punishing people for not being supportive of her, but she's not present enough to realize she hasn't presented her situation to anybody. She just wants people to be automatically happy for her and her new life when she can't explain it to anybody. And she hasn't explained it to anybody. As of right now, they've been together technically 6 months. God knows how long they've actually been together. It's 6 months from the breakup. Nobody has met him. Nobody. One of her friends, they bumped into each other at the outlets. Her close friends and family, that's weird. Let me take that back because I'm speaking out of turn. My wife's close friends that I'm still friends with have not met him. Better. Nobody that I'm in contact with knows where she's moving, where this barn that they're buying is. It's all very, very funny. If an amazing thing came in my life, I would want to tell people. I would want them to be happy for me. But part of the arrangement with that is people aren't going to be happy for you if they don't understand why they should be happy for you. She was, by everyone's perception, including me, happily married. And then all of a sudden, she was living with her boyfriend. Like that. Like, flip. Nobody understands. It's not a difficult thing to figure out. So my anger came from a larger betrayal. Not only did she betray me, which, yes, she did, but she betrayed her whole family. She betrayed their traditions, and she betrayed me a couple-fold. One, by devaluing something that's important to me, Christmas with her family, and also by going on a trip that we had wanted to go on together. And I'm only making an assumption that she's going with him because I can only see her ticket on the American Airlines website. I'm not assuming that she's going by herself. So that was the angriest I've been. And my anger response to that was to call her mom and let her know. So that's how I lashed out, by giving other people the information. I'm still thinking about it. I don't think that's an inappropriate response, though. Feeling personally betrayed and feeling like she's betraying others, I let other people know so they're not in the dark or blindsided, so that they're empowered by the information. Because that's what seems to work for me in this situation. My process seems to be, the more information I have, the better equipped I am to deal with things. So I treated others the same way. No cursing or swearing or anything vicious, just that. Well, this is creepy lighting. I have been absent. Well, hi. It is nice to see you. It's late, and I've hardly spoken to you at all today. But I had a really full day with people pretty much throughout the entire day. And I'm really happy. Allow me that indulgence, okay? Where should I even start? All right. When last we spoke, I was headed to the barn for my lesson. That was good. I parked in the parking lot, and as I walked up in between the two barns, there was a trailer attached to a truck. The truck was a gray Ford F-150, I think. And I thought, my wife's boyfriend drives a gray Ford F-150. Nobody was in the truck, and so fine. I saw two of my barn friends down by the side of the arena. I walked down to greet them. What we had to do, we had to get my car, drive back to Mary's, and buy a belt for our trainer, so that not only did all of us have corgi belts, but we wanted to get a Jack Russell belt for our trainer because she has a Jack Russell, and they thought it would be great. So I met them, and they were like, "Why are you late?" And I was like, traffic. As we turned to walk back towards where I had parked in the parking lot, my wife and her boyfriend walked out of the barn and got into the truck. They were like, "Come on, Ken, we have to go." And I was like, "Ken just needs a moment." And they were like, "Why? What's going on?" I was like, "Well, there's my wife and her fucking boyfriend." And they were like, "Oh!" So they had been suspicious of who my wife had cheated with. Caught in that moment, there was no denying it. There they were. There was my wife and her boyfriend. I just went inside. I went into the restroom, and it wasn't a major thing, honestly. It was just more sort of like, oh, that's annoying. But I went in, I did that, and when I came out, the truck was to my left, and they were backing up beside some bushes, but not for any reason I can figure out. It kind of looked like they were hiding there. As we walked up in between the barns to leave, it's not as if they were turning the truck around and leaving, but there would have been no reason to park behind the bushes that they were parking behind. It was just strange, and I thought, what is that? And then it dawned on me that perhaps they thought I didn't see them. And if you guys thought that, I did see you. I saw you the first time, and then I saw you when you were behind the bushes. But it just soured my mood a little. It was like, why did he have to be here, and then why did she have to be here? We got in the car. It was the two of them and me, and we were driving to Mary's. They didn't make fun of me then. That came later. We talked about this and that, and it was fun. They're fun, just kind of wacky folks to hang out with. I really like them very much. So we go to Mary's to get the corgi belt, and we had the corgi in the car with us, who is shedding like a fiend. So when they opened the windows, it was her fur was just all over the place in her ear. It really did look like the Upside Down in Stranger Things. It was just blowing out the window. Like, she's shedding like crazy. But I digress. So, a little soured by seeing my wife and her boyfriend. We go to Mary's. We're walking around, and I'm standing in the front of the store, and somebody walks in. They're sort of backlit. The light coming in the store was brighter. And she was like, "Hi." And I was like, I know that voice. And when I looked closer, it was my wife's boyfriend's ex-girlfriend. And I thought, what are you doing, universe? Why do you present me with like a major negative, being my wife and her boyfriend, and then immediately present me with the opposite positive, being my wife's boyfriend's ex-girlfriend? It was just a funny kind of karmic balance. And I had a really nice talk with her. We talked about how things are going. We just touched base on stuff. It was an unexpected meeting, and I have no reason to not talk about anything anymore. She's like, do you know what's happening with the barn? And I said, no. I said, I know I haven't signed anything, so I don't imagine they can do very much. I said that I know she's leaving soon. She's starting work in San Francisco on October 1st. I said, I don't know what he's doing, but as of my last check-in, his clients weren't aware of his leaving, and the barn managers didn't know about his leaving, and she thought that was kind of curious. We still have plans to meet up for the celebratory drink when they're both gone. She told me some about the last time she talked to him and how he was really upset and shaking, and yeah, like, he sounded kind of pathetic. I guess she was asking about when he was leaving or buying the barn, and he was like, I don't want to talk about it, but he was all like upset and shaky. I don't know. He does not sound like that masculine, strong boy that, that my wife painted me not to be. And we just talked about a couple things, like the dressage show that she did, and I was like, oh yeah, that was the one I offered to come to, and she was like, basically everyone's just nervous. She said that the people at the other barn think I'm really nice and want to get together, and everyone is just kind of waiting for him to go. So that's cool. She didn't have to say that, and she did, so that made me feel good. People were like, oh yeah, he's weird. She didn't have to tell me that, and that I still would have been fine. I hope that we can meet up and talk and celebrate soon. Our conversation ended by my two other friends yelling at me from outside to come unlock the car because I had to put feed in the car, so I didn't know that 120 pounds of feed and probiotics were going to be loaded into the back seat of the car. But that was fine. The lesson was really fun. We took turns, like going over jumps, doing courses, and I loved it. It was fantastic. It was kind of hot out, but it doesn't bother me. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than doing that at that place. You know, for my current sense of self and sense of well-being, being at that place with those people makes me feel really good. It's fun, and we laugh, and we applaud for each other, and we, in the kindest possible way, make fun of each other's quirks and mistakes, and I think it's great. I love it. Towards the end of the lesson, one of the people, she fell off the horse. She went over a jump, and I guess she was looking down, and she ended up on like the neck of the horse, and then they went a few steps, and then she hit the ground and landed on her back and knocked the wind out of her. It was, you know, you had that feeling of like, she's gonna be fine, but then part of you was like, oh god, I hope she's okay. You could hear her on the ground. You know that sound people make when they knock the wind out of themselves and they're trying to breathe? It's that like sound. Like, it's awful, and you know what it feels like. When you're experiencing it, you think you'll never breathe again. But from an outsider perspective, like, all you can do is care about the person and know that they'll get through it. Like, they'll be able to breathe again. It's just going to be a little bit. I care about these people. These people make me feel okay. So when they're not okay, like, I worry about them. It's that unspoken agreement I have with them. Like, thank you for making me good. I care that you're good. Even if you don't know that you make me good. Like, I'm invested in your well-being. I went back to untack the horse, and my friend was there. I was just being dumbly sassy, and I was like, you know, if you didn't want to go to Panera after lessons, you know, you didn't have to fall off your horse. You could have just told me you didn't want to go. And she was like, yeah, I don't really want to be your friend anymore. And I was like, well, you know, we had a good run. And she's like, well, I'm not the first woman to have told you that lately. And I was like, oh, man. Like, they are merciless. And it was just, I don't know. I feel like this is a new stage in my healing where I have these two people that kind of know my secret and aren't nice to me about it. You know, they're kind of like toughening me up. Since their perspective is not one of understanding marriage or really getting the depth of pain that I've been through, you know, to them, like, I just got broken up with. Like, whatever, everyone gets broken up with. It's okay. It's weird. I don't mind it. It does sting a little bit. But it doesn't break me. It just, yeah. And then when we went to Panera, it was me and the two barn friends that I had gone to the tack store with, and then our other younger friend And that was just kind of a bonkers trip. It was just kind of loud and raucous, and they were like screaming in the car for reasons I don't quite understand. It was just kind of funny. Like, I don't know. It reminded me of being in high school and just doing dumb things in cars. Not that I was doing dumb things. I was very responsible. That feeling of having a group of friends and just doing things together. And I by no means think that this is my peer group or this is my group of friends, or, you know, like, I realize I'm an adult male and these are teenagers. I get it. Believe me, I teach high school. I get the divide. I feel like things happen within the context of being friends with barn people that are just different than elsewhere. It's been really good for me. So we went to Panera and we got food, and we picked up food for people back at the barn. One of them asked me to hold her cookie while she went to wash her hands, and, you know, maybe I ate a little piece of it and then I turned it in the bag so that through the window of the bag, it still looked like a whole cookie. It's that kind of fun. I think they traumatized the younger member of the group by using language that was perhaps less than appropriate to be used around somebody so young. I cautioned them as much as I could. I can only do so much. I feel like my riding is improving. I know at some point Vinny's gonna go away. I don't know when. I have a hunch it'll be sudden. He belongs to somebody who moved away, so at some point she's gonna be like, hey, would you send him my way? That's gonna be a tough day. After we fed and stuff, all my barn friends went away, and then the night was beautiful. The stars were out, it's like a quarter moon, and I was gonna get in the car and come home, and then I thought, I should take some pictures of the night sky, and then I was like, I should go home. Then I was like, why should I go home? I'm home now, but like, there's nobody here for me. So I set up my tripod and my camera, and I stood in the dark up there, and I took some of these like 30-second exposure pictures, just for practice. You're not gonna nail it the first time, so I thought, let's take some pictures and learn from that. I'll have to tell you about the old woman I met last night. She's a sculptor. She's 93, and she does sculptures like this. And she was telling me about having dinner with Henry Moore, the sculptor. And it was just sort of like, oh, you're old and have lived. I really liked meeting her. I want to go upstairs for now. I want to get the dog home and fed, and I actually want to see a couple of the pictures I shot to see if they're any good. I may see you back here tonight, or I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night.